You guys, well, these two people are really hating on Mbappe, saying he's overrated. Man, come on. Welcome back, guys, to another week of TFW. This is the show dominated by all of your opinions, and since there's no football on at the moment, we're talking transfers and lots of them. I've got my laptop here as you guys have sent in loads and loads of your opinions, so let's get straight into it. First off, some big news on the weekend. We're talking about the possibility of Harry Kane joining Manchester United, although apparently it's not going to quite happen. So the Quebeco Majosi has said, "Hi Matt on Onefootball staff. Good afternoon. Apparently Kane might be moving to United. Please let me know if this is a rumour or a real deal." B2B has also chimed in saying, "Do you think 200 million for Kane is reasonable?" Okay, so I don't think Kane for 200 million is reasonable. I'm not sure he's worth that much. Like the 120 to 150 million mark, probably. He's worth 200 million to Spurs, but then every player is worth more to their club because they're going to have to replace him, and he's definitely one of the best players at the club. In terms of what the transfer market's going to look like after Corona, when all the transfer prices are going a bit lower because clubs don't have so much money to spend, he's not going to be worth 200 million and no one's going to pay it. As to whether or not it's going to happen, back to the first comment. So reports over the weekend have suggested that Manchester United are going to be the front runners, but it looks like he won't be moving to another club in the Premier League. And honestly, all of it is just rumours. Now, as I mentioned on today's Daily News, and we'll dive a bit deeper into it now, Kane did say that he wouldn't stay for the sake of it. He wouldn't stay at Spurs if they weren't matching his levels of ambition, bringing in the best players and really challenging for trophies. But at this time, the rumour that's surrounding it is that Daniel Levy will sell for 200 million because Spurs need the money. This is going to be the rumour for every single football club. That's just the way it is. We've heard it with Jadon Sancho, 120 million to wherever he's going, away from Dortmund, because Dortmund need the money. All you do is you pick a big player, pick a big transfer fee, let's say Lautaro Martinez for 100 million to Barcelona because Inter need the money to survive the coronavirus. That's pretty much every single rumour that's going around. When it's big money, the reasoning behind it is that the club can stay financially stable. Now, that may be true. That may be true in a lot of clubs. However, especially with Tottenham and the kind of shrewd businessman that Daniel Levy is, and yes, they do have a new stadium which they've got to pay some debts for. I can't see Spurs in an extraordinary financial position, one of the richest in the world, even if they don't spend it in the transfer market. I can't see them being like 150 million to 2 million away from complete and utter bankruptcy, like the amount that Kane would go for. Yes, it would help the cash flow. I'm not so sure. I don't think it's that close to the edge for Spurs. But yeah, that's the reason you'll see behind any transfer pretty much soon. If Kane were to leave, as we mentioned before, I think Real Madrid's probably the only sensible, maybe, rumour that you could actually see happening. As for next up, and talking about potential Real Madrid targets and Kylian Mbappe, you guys, well, these two people are really hating on Mbappe, saying he's overrated. So Omar Kane Asara said, "Mbappe is overrated. He hasn't proven himself in a big league and disappears in the big games. He is still a great talent, but needs a lot of improvement before moving on to a bigger challenge." Man, come on. I mean, yeah, take away the 2 goals against Argentina in the World Cup quarter-final, and then scoring in the final as his France side won it, all at age 19. Plus, on top of this, winning every league title that he's ever played in. Right, so that was the one at Monaco. Sorry, not the one before Monaco. Monaco age 17, PSG age 18, PSG age 19, and now probably PSG age 20. And also winning everything there is to win in French football. So when you say he needs a lot of improvement before moving on to a bigger challenge, well, how is he going to improve when he's already completed all these challenges? He's completed everything there is to complete in French football, apart from the Champions League. I'm sure that's a PSG problem, not just an Mbappe problem. So he doesn't need to improve. He's literally smashed everything age 19, 20. Now he needs to move on to a big challenge, granted, but bigger challenge, if he moves to Real Madrid, Barcelona, they're always going to be challenging at the top of La Liga. Personally, I think a bigger challenge would be moving to a club in the Premier League, but there we go. I mean, Shov Dakar said Mbappe will be incredible, but won't reach the heights of Messi and Ronaldo because he has never scored a beautiful goal and he isn't the best passer. I mean, technically, yes, because Messi and Ronaldo are good passers. Certainly Messi a better passer than Ronaldo. Not saying Ronaldo's a bad passer before you all go absolutely nuts on the keyboard. Messi is certainly the better passer than Ronaldo. Does he need to be a best passer? This is the thing I think people are forgetting. You're looking at all-round footballers like Messi and Ronaldo who are incredible, right? Lewandowski is another footballer who is good all-round, great all-round in fact, as a centre-forward, but he scores goals. That's what he's paid to do, that's what he was brought into the club to do, and he fires his team to victory in most games. Kylian Mbappe is going to do the same. Whether or not he can do what Messi does or apparently score a wonderful goal, in fact I've seen Mbappe score quite a few wonderful goals, his style of football, he's quick, he's in behind defenders, he takes them on, and he's very, very cool under pressure. Slots it in the back of the net. That's what he's there for. I'm not quite sure he's going to be worried about throughout his career whether or not he could pass with the accuracy that Messi's left foot has got. I mean, Bahanu Priya said, is Mbappe really better than Sancho? Yes. Sancho, again, is a phenomenal player. I think Kylian Mbappe is probably better than him. I mean, look, you can put it down to the fact they play in these sort of teams, and PSG to Dortmund. You know, PSG knocked Dortmund out. Maybe you could say that PSG have got an easier league so that they can win more trophies. I mean, they've definitely got an easier league in Liga. I can't get on the bandwagon when you see so many other players who move for so much money, whether they're young or they're old, and they fail to produce. But Kylian Mbappe, age 18, moved on loan initially, but for like 160 million to PSG, and then just went about his business like it was nothing. Like it was absolutely nothing. Incredibly consistent, scoring more goals per game last season as well. He's been on fire this season too. How can you say he's overrated? Wow. I'd probably say a little bit underrated, if anything. Anyway, moving on. And Hjalmar said Roberto Firmino would be as prolific as Joelinton if he played for Newcastle under Steve Bruce. That's a bit harsh. Joelinton's had a pretty shocking season. I still think Firmino would do better. Like, he wouldn't do as good as Liverpool because the system's not the same at Newcastle, but Firmino's still a top quality player. Next up, David Galloway says Jorginho needs to leave Chelsea so Kante can be returned to the holding midfielder role. So, yeah, love from Jamaica. Awesome. Thank you, David. Ooh, this is a tough one. I agree, because there's two, without playing a double pivot, which is quite defensive at times, there is two categories for the number 6 or the number 4, the sitting, the holding midfielder. Either you've got someone who breaks up play incredibly well, and that's when you think you're maybe not going to have so much of the ball, or you're wary of a team counter-attacking, like Kante, or you think you're going to have lots of the ball, you need to keep the play moving, you need to keep the tempo up, and you need a good passer like Jorginho. Kante isn't as good a passer as Jorginho, and Jorginho isn't as good as a tackler or a midfield engine as Kante is. Personally, I'd agree with you, David. I think that Jorginho's passing is great. He always has like the most completed passes, or he's near the top of that list. He never gets any assists. Barely chips in with a goal. Yeah, he takes a cool-looking penalty once in a while. Anyone can take a penalty well, but I'm not sure you specifically need Jorginho in the squad for that. And as for the passing, there are more than competent passers. Yes, as I mentioned, Kante isn't as good as Jorginho, but he's still a good enough passer to keep the ball moving. They also got Mateo Kovacic, who's brilliant in central midfield as well. So yeah, I'd get rid of him and put Kante into that central defensive midfield role. Talking of central defensive midfielders who are good at passing, and Ndombele is good at dribbling too, Ramswaroop Dangayash, I hope I said that right, has said, what do you make about Tanguy Ndombele's situation at Spurs after getting offered by Barcelona? If Barca were to take him, they'd have to do something miraculous to turn his form around to see what we saw at Lyon instead of Spurs. I think it could happen. I think being with better players, I think the league may be more suited to Ndombele. He'd be brilliant. Having said that, I'm not sure Spurs will let him go just yet. They bought him for, you know, a club record £56 million. 22, 23 years old. They've only had one season. If Jose Mourinho can really get the best out of him, he could be great for the next few years. Maybe even more than that. So I'm not sure it's worth Spurs selling him just yet, but if they were to get rid of him, then yeah, Barca would be the guys. And next up, Liverpool. Quite a few comments on Liverpool. So Ben Stew is saying, Bayern Munich and Liverpool have the 4 best fullbacks in the world. No way anyone can say otherwise. Now you're opening up a can of worms. And Mbappe won't solve all Real Madrid's problems as the team ages and they need to have a bigger backbone rather than just signing inexperienced young players for the future. Inexperienced? Mbappe scored and won in the World Cup final. There isn't like more experience to get. There isn't a bigger game in world football. Anyway, whatever. Real Madrid's problems as the team ages. I think Real Madrid are sorting out their problems in their backbone, and Mbappe is going to be brilliant for them if he goes. Anyway, he said also my birthday on Monday, so if you read this out, thank you. Happy birthday, Ben Stew. Right. Bayern and Liverpool have the 4 best fullbacks in the world. Yeah, Liverpool's are up there for sure. Probably arguably the best in the world, Robertson and Alexander-Arnold. As for Bayern Munich, Kimmich is brilliant. Absolutely phenomenal. So good that he can even play midfield as well. As for David Alaba, he's fielding a lot of centre-back this season because of Alphonso Davies. Davies isn't the best in the world at the moment, but certainly has all the ability and the potential to get up there. With David Alaba, I'm not sure he's up there with the best left-backs. I think one of the things he has got on his side is the fact that he's so experienced and he's still only like 25 or 26. That's what could make him so appealing because he's been around for so long and he's been so consistent without personally ever reaching those like highest heights of being a left back. Yusuf Amar said Robertson is overrated because Trent Alexander-Arnold is the one doing all the work. How does that work? They play on different sides of the pitch. Well, apparently Robertson is overrated. I actually happen to think that Robertson is slightly more consistent than Trent. Trent probably gives more in terms of his overall ability, and he's kind of a Kimmich-like player. He could probably play in central midfield with his range of passing. I think Robertson's the better defender. Trent's the better crosser. Only just though. Robertson's left foot is brilliant. I wouldn't say he's overrated. I wouldn't say he's necessarily the most glamorous of fullbacks. But yeah, what he does is unbelievable. And last but not least, Ian Lower said Liverpool might be interested in Jose Maria Jimenez as a potential replacement for Dejan Lovren. Although I don't see Jimenez leaving Atletico for being a bench at Liverpool, on the bench. Completely agree. Jimenez, the starter at Atletico, is a brilliant player. Is a phenomenal defender, as Liverpool found out. And yeah, he's not going to leave to sit on the bench. He's definitely not going to leave to replace Lovren's status within the squad. And honestly, Liverpool are in a difficult position because who do they sign that then allows them to not knock the players already there, but also improve them? Jimenez isn't going to come in and sit on the bench, and it would be a shame to see Joe Gomez out of the starting lineup after a brilliant season alongside Virgil van Dijk. So it's a tough one there. I don't think they go for it, especially as they'll have to spend a lot of money on a bench warmer. But there we have it all from today's TFW. Of course, every Sunday night in the YouTube community tab is where you leave your opinions and all your thoughts on not only transfers, but the rest of the goings on in the footballing world. So let me know all your thoughts from today's episode. Smash the like button whilst you're near the comment section, and don't forget to click here or here to check out all of the other videos we've got going on Onefootball. But until next time, I'll see you guys later.